Just gonna double check everything. All right. What's up, everybody? What's up, Eye Candy Extracts? What's happening? We got 2 people with us. That's more than enough. We're doing Tech Tip Tuesday a little bit differently this time around. We're doing it live. I actually have a new camera. I got a couple cameras, and we're just gonna go over, I don't know, some things that I never really understood as a technician in the beginning, and I really thought it would be cool that somebody explained to me the little nuances of products. And today we're speaking of what's happening today. We're gonna be talking about vacuum grease and pretty much what the differences of the vacuum grease, because I actually go into a lot of labs lately and been seeing a lot more, distillation processes going on and whatnot. And I have been seeing pretty much every single vacuum grease is either just the cheapest vacuum grease for the minimal, whatever that needs to get done. But sometimes we're putting the wrong vacuum grease on ultra low vacuum processes, which are not really the right thing to do. And kind of let's talk about the different vacuum greases that Extractor Depot carries. And they carry 3 different types. So today we're going to talk about all 3, and we're going to start with the cheaper one, and we're going to move on up to the more expensive, fancier ones. So let's go ahead, and I got some slides prepared for you today. This is, or not slides, they're called scenes, but here we go. Cool. All right, so this is my table. And here we go. The first one up, we got, I got the website pulled up for us here at the top so you can see my little mouse. So just in case you guys need to know how much stuff is, we already are showing you. And then if you do want to order the product or need to find it, you guys see, I'm going to highlight this SKU number over here. If you memorize a SKU, you don't have to memorize the name of the product, vice versa. It also just helps the warehouse people find items. If you like, sometimes this name is very, very long. Like right now, DuPont, Molykote, high vacuum, so reading this to the customer service might be kind of a pain sometimes. So what you want to do is you can just get that SKU number right down there. You can even copy and paste it. And I know our customer service does a lot of texting back and forth as well. So that's just a real easy way to clearly communicate what product you're looking for and whatnot there. Yeah. So this is the DuPont vacuum grease, and this is normally everybody's go-to because it is $39.99 for this gigantic. Let's go ahead and open the box a little here today. And it is a giant tube. So this tube right here will probably last you all year, honestly. It's super affordable. Everybody usually has this in their lab when I'm traveling. But let's actually talk about what this is really good for. The range that this is going to be good for is -40 to 200 Celsius. So that's cool. One thing to note when you're talking about the range of any sort of vacuum grease is that when we're on the high temperature, the grease definitely is going to get a lot more runny. And when you go lower on the temperature, the grease is a lot more viscous. Or did I use those words backwards? It's a lot thicker when it's colder, right? So if we're at -40 per se, the coldest this will probably be a pretty stiff grease, which means it'll hold pretty well and really easy to apply. Now, once you start to get closer and closer to 200 Celsius, say like we're going to talk about, say, a boiling flask, for instance. Boiling flask, I would not recommend this stuff. Short path head, I would not recommend this stuff. You guys might even notice that when this stuff gets exposed to like a really, really deep vacuum, even though it says high vacuum grease applications, I don't know if that's quite the same as an ultra low or a deep vacuum application. So not too sure on the context of the word high vacuum there. So yeah, but if you do use this, which probably you guys have already used this on a short path a few times, if you run a short path or even your wiper, you will notice that this stuff does like you'll see the air bubbles come through at a certain temperature. Like your boiling flask, usually you'll see a leak at certain temperatures or whatnot, right? Chang Min is watching. What's up, Chang Min? This live video. Yeah, this is live video. so yeah, this is let's talk about real quick where is the appropriate places to use this grease though, because why does Xtractor Depot carry it if you don't necessarily can't use it on your short path or your wiper? All right, so let's move on to my next scene. All right, so there you go. A rotovape is a great place to put this grease. The really nice thing about a rotovape is when you put this grease on, you don't really have to apply it ever again, because you don't really have to take apart the roto unless you moved it, or yeah, you had to move locations or something like that, right? So it's really nice to, especially when you get pretty proficient at assembling a roto, to go ahead and add this one extra step and definitely put a little bit of grease on both the gasket and all the flat surfaces, because I'm pretty sure most all of those joints are what do you call flat? God, what do you call them? They're not tapered. They don't slide into each other. They're just flat ends that a gasket will hold together. So flanges, yes, that's what I meant. So flanges are great for this stuff. Also, you're going to see a lot of flanges on your glass reactors, and this stuff is going to be great for that as well. But this is just going to be where we're talking about the glass reactor just doing its usual things, not doing anything super specific. So like if we start going a little bit harder with decarbing and whatnot, I'm going to show you guys a different type of grease to be using, and because this is not necessarily the grease when you want to deal with a high temperature for a long period of time, because this will kind of like get runny and then just either run into your process or tends to run outside the process and then dry out. And you'll notice that you'll get like hard little flakes, crusts around little pieces of this grease that has made it outside the system, especially on the boiling flask joint. So yeah, anyways, I think that's enough about this stuff. Oh, the camera's over here now. Enough about this stuff. This stuff is good to have. I would always have this stuff in your lab. If you guys don't have a tube of this, get one, because if you do run out of the other greases for any sort of reason, at least having this will get you by for the day until you have to go get more of the other stuff. But yeah, this stuff is fairly pretty safe as well. It is, the base material of this stuff is silicone, so it is fairly, it's not gonna basically, if it got into your crude oil, it wouldn't distill over. So that's a nice thing to also know. If you get grease in your oil, may just, as long as it gets distilled, it's not going to be in your oil anymore. Okay, so there's that. Let's move on to the next grease we have in line. Yeah, flange. I caught myself before you got that one. Andrew caught me there. All right, so next one is probably going to be the most popular, and that is going to be our Apiezon PFPE 501 grease. So let's see what the unique thing about this guy is. First off, I believe this, I think they were touting this one as food safe or something of that nature, but that's not the feature you want to buy this for anyway. But you know what's kind of cool is they give you the vac depth right there, the deepest vac depth that you can possibly achieve. There we go. That's a little clearer. So that's 1.3. So that's 1.3 microns. If I'm not, no, wait, way less than that. That's to the 12th. So anyways, this stuff is a lot more expensive. This stuff is $284.95. Yeah. So, this stuff is a little thicker. It's called PFPE because that's actually what the base material of this grease is made out of. So it's a little bit more similar to a PTFE-ish. It's a type of sort of plastic. So this stuff would be a little bit more durable to like terpene fractions and any sort of thing like that as well, right? So temperature range on this one though is nice because it's -50. It's actually a little bit colder than the last one, -50 instead of -40, and then 250 Celsius is the hottest range for this guy. I can't really vouch for that. I'll say around 200 Celsius, just like the other stuff. This will start to get kind of runny, and according to the specs on this, that this has an ultra low volatility, so which does it just it being ultra low just does tell me that there's some volatility, meaning if there's some grease that does get exposed to the process on the inside, it might affect the vacuum. So that's just a possibility there. But this stuff is basically solvent proof. So you can use it on the roto and the glass reactor as well if you guys are wanting something a little bit more robust, and because you're dealing with a lot of solvents there. So even if the solvent does get exposed to the grease is going to stay put and not dissolve and fall into the process. So that's really, really nice about this stuff. This stuff is actually what I would recommend all of your joints that are not hot be greased with on your short path. So no matter what short path you have, everything should be greased up with this at the bare minimum. The weakness on this stuff is, especially if we're if we're running the short path and we're doing hot pass, I don't know, if you stay at 200 Celsius or plus too long, like maybe over 3 or 4 hours or so, this stuff starts to get dried out, and starts to crack and starts to just do funky things. So it works really, really well on cold trap, maybe your swing arm. But when we're talking about the head and the boiling flask, or even the wiper body in some areas, this stuff might fall a little short. It's not that it will affect your processes. Eventually there's a certain point where you're gonna have to re-grease. And it's just because you've been seeing a vacuum leak and you just can't spot it. You're probably gonna have to re-grease because you've been too hot for too long. So that's Apiezon PFPE. Let's talk about real quick why or where I recommend to carry these or to apply this stuff. Back to this camera. So I got the Molykote short path right above us. I do have a head here that is not the Molykote head, but it is the thermoflow head, but it does have some similar parts to it. I just kind of wanted to show you guys, since I can't point at the glassware up there. Yeah, so I could show you here. So this flange right here is pretty much the bottom of the Molykote head, and if you just cut it off and you don't look at it, yeah, there you go. So you want to grease that part up real quick. Oh, I hope you guys can't hear the people outside. I hope the people outside my room can hear me. So you want to grease that part up. That's going to be super important, because this is where usually the PFPE 501 grease falls short. is on this flat surface. So make sure you get the Apiezon H there, and then on the boiling flask where the O-ring is, it's really, really important that you grease that section as well. You're gonna see a drastic change in vacuum depth when you actually use the Apiezon H. I can't really explain like how much or how long that vacuum depth will last versus the other grease, but like right off the bat, you'll know, because it's usually when you hit body, right when you get distillate coming out of the primary condenser is usually when that distillate starts heating everything up, and really drying out all your grease in all these different sections. I do want to point out the Apiezon 501 works really any sort of Apiezon. You need to put a whole lot more grease in the 4550 section. So if you guys are running a 5-liter head, you probably have a 4550 male joint for your boiling flask. The thermal well section for our Makos has a 4550 section. So you're going to use a little bit more grease when it comes to those sections. So let's move on to the last one. Yeah, that is 284. Go back just so you guys see the price one more time. I guys want you to take note of the price because I have a cool announcement for you guys right after this. Okay. Cool. So let's move on. We're gonna go on to Apiezon H Grease. Apiezon H. So why do you care about Apiezon H? This is probably my favorite grease in the world. There's some downsides of this. There's a lot of upsides to this. So a lot of upsides to this is the fact that when you run hot condensing, those other greases are not going to hold up on the head section, and especially on the receiving flask and condenser section. And especially you guys are running a really, really long run. Like I know you guys are running, some of you guys are running 6 to 8 hours of a run. The grease will definitely not hold up. So you're going to have to utilize something more robust. Now, this is definitely going to handle all the hot sections for you. And you're never going to leak from the hot sections no matter how long you do your run. But there's a couple caveats that you need to know. So first off, this stuff is not solvent resistant. It is a hydrocarbon-based material. So that means if you have any sort of solvents, like especially hydrocarbon solvents like heptane, pentane, or any sort of the hexane within your boiling flask, this is not the grease to use for that run, and assuming that those are going to be like a first pass anyway. This is more if you have zero solvent in that crude oil, and you know that by doing a thorough decarb and a thorough terp strip. Okay, if you do those things, then you really don't have to worry about this grease not performing. So I make sure that I got my decarb and my terp strip done, and I'm reading below 100 microns within my glass reactor, and then I go ahead and get ready for the distillation, and that's when I use this guy. And if you follow those rules, you're probably going to see about anywhere from, like, say I was used to running a second pass, or not even a second, let's just call it a first pass, because I started doing devoling pretty early in the process. So first pass, yeah, you can get that whole process done as long as you're using the Apiezon H Grease, and you're going to see maybe 20 microns. Like, it's pretty big difference. It's a big enough difference to justify $200 for this little tube. And so I'll show you how little this tube is, like, versus back to the DuPont the DuPont stuff, which is $40, versus this tiny thing that is $200, right? So in order to save yourself a bunch of money, which you're gonna what you're going to want to do, the most optimal one, is to get 501 and H. I know that sounds like, damn, that's a lot of money. But you're going to use H only on the head. So you see the picture I have up there is above me right now is the Molykote head. That would be the only thing that gets H. So anything as far as like the receiving flask, the cold trap, any sort of the vacuum section, they would all get Apiezon 501, because all that stuff is not going to see hot ever, really. If anything, it's going to see cold. So you're going to want to use the cheaper stuff on that. If you can't afford the 501, then you can go ahead and, you know, definitely do the DuPont and then do the Apiezon H. Like, that's a combo you can get away with. But at the end of the day, I would only say this is okay if you're pretty quick on the short path. If your runs are 3 to 4 hours long at the, you know, maximum, then my guys actually got away with utilizing a lot of this, and barely using any of this, and just kind of figuring out the areas that needed it more or less, right? So so yeah, that's a picture right above me of the Molykote head. It's a lot different than the ThermoFlow I have in front of me here, but that's the reason why we got a lot of R&D and a lot of research and development, and a lot of just hands-on time with the Molykote to be 1,000% sure that the Molykote is exactly what everybody needed and wanted, right? So so those are all three of the greases there. Got a cool little, I haven't had a whole lot of questions. It seems like Andrew's taking care of a lot of the questions. That's good. That's good. Got Andrew in chat there, guys. What's up? What's up, Changmin? All right. And so extractordepot.com, you guys seen where we got all these greases from. If you guys go ahead and use the coupon code TTT Grease, it's going to give you 15% off of all of the Apiezon products. So Apiezon products, remember the 501 was $250. So 250, that's at least what, $35 off. So that's pretty good. That's essentially free shipping if you buy a bunch of things, right? $199 for the Apiezon H. Apiezon H will last you, if you're distilling, you know, I was distilling maybe about just, I mean, not on a fast, like on a moderate week, 50 liters probably a week on a moderate week. And I would go through 1 H grease per, I would say, 2 months. So this will last a while. The Apiezon 501, honestly, this will last you, 2 tubes will last you a whole year. So 1 tube should last you 6 months, because you don't need to use nearly as much of it. And it's always just good to have this DuPont stuff in a toolbox in the corner of the lab somewhere, kind of like where you have thread tape, you know, any one of those miscellaneous useful items that are just like, I can't just not have it, right? So these 3 things I definitely recommend you go ahead and pick up, load your lab up, and make sure they're equipped with what they need to. And yeah, guys, I hopefully you guys want to follow us on Instagram, obviously Extractor Depot, Extractor Pros. We got Extractor Depot OKC. The store is actually kind of revamping their Instagram over there, and the staff is doing a great job. If you guys don't know, you guys, we have a showroom out in Oklahoma, and yeah, so there's isolators out there you guys can check out. The Titan lineup, the whole Titan lineup is out there. Catalyst is out there. So make sure to make a little trip about it, and go say hi to our team out there. And we're out here in Southern California. We're in San Bernardino and in LA. So yeah, make sure you guys follow us on YouTube as well. We're going to be doing a lot more stuff on YouTube. So coming up next, we do have a little interview with Andrew. So be on the lookout for that. And that's a cool little interview about innovations and the whole journey of us doing R&D here at Extractor Depot. So, all right, guys, it doesn't seem like there's any more questions, but if you do have any more questions, especially about the grease, go ahead and drop them in the comments, or even shoot me a DM at Extractor Depot or Extractor Pros, and we'll get you situated, and we'll make sure you guys are maintaining wins here in this industry. So if anything, I'll see you guys next week. Peace.